America's troubling spike in crime over the past year has been a big concern for many families. And this past weekend, we saw at least a dozen people shot, a 15-year-old girl killed. Later today, the mayor and police chief are planning to address it all and what they're doing to keep you safe. The name of the girl is Diamond Johnson, and right now a search is underway for the person or people who fatally shot her near Grant Park on Saturday night.
Now, last year, as you remember, the WNBA dedicated their season to Jacob Blake. Okay? They got on the court before the games with Jacob Blake. You remember the NBA was about to cancel the playoffs after the 22nd Jacob Blake video surfaced. That young lady, Diamond Johnson, you see, she's a basketball player. I'm sure she had dreams of going to the WNBA. She's a high school basketball player. Come on. I'm sure she looks up to the women in the WNBA. I'm sure these are her heroes. She's a high school basketball player. How many of y'all think the WNBA gonna do something to tribute to this girl? Hit one if you think the WNBA gonna do anything to commemorate this girl's life and mourn her passing, her tragic passing. I didn't think so. You know they ain't gonna do a goddamn thing, because I chronicled several female basketball players, high school basketball and college basketball players that were murdered by thugs last year. While this was going on, like in the middle of all this, and they didn't say anything about it. So we know they're not gonna do anything about this girl. But it's just so interesting that they could literally protest for a thug, a hoodlum, a goon, who'd had, if you saw my video, who'd had numerous incidents with cops where he was almost killed because of his behavior, where the cops bent over backwards not to kill him because of the way he was acting. Numerous incidents. Documented incidents. I'll put the link to that video in the description box. You can go check that video out of these other encounters with cops, the 2015 incident in particular.
The name of the girl is Diamond Johnson, and right now a search is underway for the person or people who fatally shot her near Grant Park on Saturday night. Mara Sirianni joining us live now outside APD headquarters with the new pictures just released from investigators and how you can help.
This is, of course, heartbreaking. And so as police work to track down Diamond Johnson's killer, city leaders, as we mentioned, are working to figure out ways to curb the violence that we're seeing in the city. So I want to show you a memorial that is marking the spot along Glenwood Avenue where the 15-year-old girl was killed. This was Saturday night. We're seeing friends, we're seeing family members, community members stopping by to pay their respects at this memorial. And investigators say they're looking for 3 vehicles related to the shooting. Take a closer look here. As of April 24th, APD records show there were 208 shootings in Atlanta so far this year. That's up 51% from the same time last year. Atlanta City Councilman Michael Julian Bond, who's also on the Atlanta Public Safety Committee, says the city's efforts to keep more officers on the streets could help reverse this violent trend.
Did they say more officers on the streets? What they've done, they white liberals got this girl killed. This whole defund the police, I never heard a nigga say that a day in my life. First time I heard that was white liberals talking about that in Minneapolis. And then it spread all across the white liberal sphere. And then their little Negro minions started talking that crap. You never heard those Negroes talking about that ever before. They got this girl killed. They got a whole bunch of other people killed by taking the police away. Atlanta crime was not this bad before. Rayshard Brooks and George Floyd. It was not this bad. It was bad, but it wasn't this bad. And now they talking about more police and paid incentives for policemen. Well, you still got a policeman on basically on trial for murder, facing the death penalty because he shot a guy who took his taser and shot him with it.
Records show there were 208 shootings in Atlanta so far this year. That's up 51% from the same time last year. Atlanta City Councilman Michael Julian Bond, who's also on the Atlanta Public Safety Committee, says the city's efforts to keep more officers on the streets could help reverse this violent trend. Bond said the city is offering pay incentives and more aggressively working to fill open positions.
Having a police officer, police car in the area makes people think twice. We've got to fill those positions. We've got to make sure that we do build a public safety training center, that we do have the right equipment for our police, and that we also are giving them the moral support they need.
You gotta be effing kidding me, man. So basically, you're going back to normal. You're gonna, all the police officers that you scared away and fired after Rayshard Brooks beat up 2 cops, took the taser and shot one of them with it. It was subsequently fired upon. They act like he was killed. No, he was fired back on, and he died of the gunshot wound. They acting like they tied him down and gave him the lethal injection. No, he shot at them. They shot back. And the wound hit, and he died of the wound. That's what happened. And now this guy's talking about, and they just gonna act like they did. They just gonna act like, well, we're doing this, we're doing that. No, you gotta answer for what you did. You knew these communities were already plagued with thugs and violence and single mothers and feral teens. And jive turkey grown men. Grown men, just some jive turkeys. And then you took the police away from those neighborhoods. What did you think was going to happen? Oh yeah, white liberals got to feel good.
Now, in the death of Diamond Johnson, APD is now offering a $5,000 reward for information leading to an arrest and conviction.
Wait a second. The WNBA players and the NBA players ain't putting up no reward? Well, they at least gonna pay for a funeral, right? Nothing, none of that. Nobody in any NBA basketball league is going to give this girl's family a dime. Not that they should, but in light that we've been giving money to black people whose families, whose loved ones, I can't even say loved ones because George Floyd was using a counterfeit $20 bill. He couldn't get a penny from anybody in his family. He running around using counterfeit bills. Rayshard Brooks. He had just come home from doing 7 years for child cruelty. He was on the streets for a month. And he was running around with a white girl. That woman that they put up as his baby mother, he ain't been with her in 8 years. Jacob Blake, he's out there thugging. These dudes ain't even have no loved one. They just had family members that we've been making rich. Is this Diamond Johnson girl gonna get? Who gonna pay for her funeral? Who gonna make her GoFundMe blow up? Nobody. And she's a basketball player.
Press conference is set for 10 o'clock this morning. Of course, we'll bring that to you live. Sheba.
All right, Mara, and we have much more information on that press conference right now. Mayor Bottoms and Atlanta Police Chief Rodney Bryant, they will be speaking in just a few hours. And
new tonight, a man is facing charges in Baltimore after he attacked two women with a cement block. The two Korean women own Wonderland Liquor Store on Pennsylvania Avenue in West Baltimore. Graphic surveillance video shows 50-year-old Daryl Doyles viciously, brutally beating them.
So we not gonna say nothing about my man seeing the two women getting beaten with a cinder block upside the head. We not gonna say my homie just easing his way out of the store. Now listen, I get it. You don't want to get involved in certain things and bring you trouble in these neighborhoods. It's best to mind your business a lot of times. I'm not going to sit here and play no games with you, man. I'm going to bring it to you straight. Getting involved in things could cause you some trouble because this guy's going to be out the next day. But this an old head, man. This somebody's grandfather, man. This ain't like 5 young whippersnappers with extended clips, Glocks with extended clips hanging out their waistband. There's an old 60-year-old man beating up 2 women with a cinder block, bashing their heads in, man. You could at least grab that man up off them women, tell him, you know what you do, tell black people, man, the cops coming. That's what you got to tell black people that, man. And that might work, you know. That not always gonna work. It may work sometime, but yeah. Or come on, man, you gonna kill her, or something like that. Just while you grabbing them, you gotta say something like that. Don't just grab them. When you grabbing them, say the cops coming. Come on, man, hurry up, man. You gotta go run. You gotta act like you with them and shit, cause it's just.
Weather alert. Severe thunderstorm warning in about 25 miles from current location.
It's just a jacked up place, man, Blackistan. But we ain't gonna talk about this anti-hero that just seen 2 women get beat up and just like, let me ease on out of here.
In Baltimore after he attacked 2 women with a cement block. The 2 Korean women own Wonderland Liquor Store on Pennsylvania Avenue in West Baltimore. Graphic surveillance video shows 50-year-old Daryl Doyles viciously, brutally beating them. Family members say they have no idea why this has happened.
It doesn't make sense why they would come here to make a living and be treated like this in a community that should like embrace them, because we've been here for over 20-some years.
While the suspect faces 2 counts of aggravated assault, the 2 victims had severe injuries but are at home recovering now.
Hey, thanks so much. You're gonna like this one. A DC teen is graduating high school early and getting ready for college, and he's already decided what school he'll be attending this fall. And as Fast 5, Jesse Burkett Hall shows us, his family couldn't be more proud. Addison, what size do you wear?
We living on campus. He'll be living like 2 hours away.
But I'm in all the parent groups. I'm in the Morehouse group, the North Carolina A&T group. I'm in the Yale group. Everyone, all eyes on me. 1, 2, 3. Are you ready to cheer for Curtis? Yes.
We've taught them from an early age that education is key to open up the opportunities and have access to things that they would want in life. Since they were born, pretty much, we've done that.
Curtis and Maylene Lawrence have 2 children. A family, a mama, and a husband / father. Anybody shocked that this is the result or what a possible result? This boy ain't going to school to play ball. He going to school on his academics. He ain't 6'11". This boy like 5'6". He getting a full ride.
Curtis? Yes.
We've taught them from an early age that education is key to open up the opportunities and have access to things that they would want in life. Since they were born, pretty much, we've done that with them and gave them those experiences and those words so that they know the importance of education. He's one of the most humble kids I have met. Being in college at 14, to him, he sees that this is just, this is normal life.
So this has been a really long process that kind of started back in 7th grade, thinking about college prep. I am Curtis Lars III. I am 16. I received $1.6 million in scholarships, and in the fall, I will be attending. His goal is to get a PhD, and so we kind of helped him plan backwards and said, these are the top schools in paleontology that offer PhD programs.
Wait a second. He not going for African American studies? Or liberal arts? Something when he get out of college, he be working at Target. He going for a real science. He going in the STEM field. Wow, this is amazing. Salute to these parents, man. Salute to these parents, man. Give it up to these parents. Hit that PayPal, hit that Cash App, hit that Super Chat. You won't see this story anywhere on Black YouTube but here. I promise you, of the 18 gazillion pro-blacks on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube, you will not see this story anywhere but here.
Get a PhD, and so we kind of helped him plan backwards and said, these are the top schools in paleontology that offer PhD programs. I was accepted to Florida A&M University, North Carolina A&T, Howard University, Hampton, Morehouse College, George Washington University, University of Chicago, UC Berkeley, Morgan State University, and Harvard and Yale. First, I started off thinking about what schools had like good biology programs. I started looking specifically at HBCUs because I want to have the HBCU experience to be surrounded by the people who are just like me, who are not only black but academically talented. In the fall, I will be double majoring in biology and computer science and taking my talents to Florida Agricultural and Mechanical University.
That is so great, right? And what a good job to Jesse Burkett Hall. I was like waiting. I couldn't wait to see where he made his announcement. What an amazing family. You know what? That's one amazing kid. Fantastic. All right, 4:49 is our time right now.
The sun hadn't even set yet, and this Prince George's County woman says she dodged 2 bullets in one day.
And I was like, that's when it kind of like hit me, like, what? And so I was screaming, I was like, today? Right now? This is what you're gonna do?
Faizadia Holmes was in a car accident one morning in late 2018 and walked away unscathed. At the time, she lived here in Southeast D.C. and says she returned home that evening in a rental car, achy, annoyed, and to a gun in her face.
He was like, B, give me the keys to the car. And I was like, wait, what? I responded back fight or flight, and I fought. And so it's at that moment I literally began to like scream and yell. And so at that time he began to like tug at the keys that were on my fingers. I could die for real. And I'm like in mass hysteria.
Faizadia says the suspect, who appeared to be a teen, ran off with one set of her keys and yelled, "He's coming back. He's not done."
Heard that. The little dude told her he'll be back. He's not done. And this woman was marching. I guarantee you she was marching all summer, talking about white people and institutional racism and systematic racism. I guarantee you this woman was out there marching all last summer. And our babies don't get a fair check. Yeah, okay. And I'm not saying give up on black kids. Obviously, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is cut the bullshit with all the, if it's the only reason all of them ain't in Harvard and Yale is because of racism. No. There are a lot of thugs out here in our community and hoodlums. And y'all been talking about less police and the police and racist white. No, that's not what's happening. Be real about what's actually happening in the community.
And so it's at that moment I literally begin to like scream and yell. And so at that time he began to like tug at the keys that were on my fingers. I could die for real. And I'm like in mass hysteria.
Xavier says the suspect, who appeared to be a teen, ran off with one set of her keys and yelled, "He's coming back. He's not done."
I lived in fear for quite some time.
Now, with the latest increase in violent carjackings in the area, Xavier says it's only adding to her anxiety. The most recent police data shows between January and April of this year, there have been 207 carjackings in the Washington area, compared to 60 during the same period last year.
How do you white liberals sleep at night? Knowing your defund the police bullshit. And most of the people who carjack are black. Because that's where these carjackers live. They live in the... Now, they go in other communities, as we saw those little girls. And we see a lot. They go in other communities. Don't get me wrong. But at least half of these people who are carjacked are black. And half of them are all the other races combined. Arab, Palestinian, Indian, white, Hispanic. All the races combined. But this is, when you see this data and you know that it was a group of people that fought and tore up the cities and got the police defunded, and look at that data, like that ain't just like the normal progression from one year to the next. 1 year to be 60, another year to be 57. It might even be 70 the next year, and then 45 the next. Like this is April of this year, and there are 207 carjackings in this city. That's literally almost 4 years worth. I mean, not 4 years worth. That's literally a year and a half's worth, almost a year and a half's worth of carjackings in the first 4 months of the year.
Now, with the latest increase in violent carjackings in the area, Xavier says it's only adding to her anxiety.
Now, do y'all see this? You see how it appears to be one kid at the top of the screen near the silver car that's across the street? He seems to have nothing to do with it. You have these two kids standing on the sidewalk, and you have the one kid actually carjacking the person with the door at the door of the car, and it looks like it just happens to be some young brothers walking down the street. They're all together. This is a technique they use where they just walk down the street and they act like they're not all together. Some will walk on the other side of the street. Some will walk on this side of the street. One will walk down the street and he'll be the one to carjack you. And then once he starts it, they all just come out and sit. And it looks like they're all coming out of nowhere, but they were... You just saw some young brothers walking through the neighborhood, and George Zimmerman, you sit, you know, this is how woke people in D.C. are. They see this, they're like, man, I bet if George Zimmerman saw these kids, he would probably, and next thing you know, they're getting carjacked. They still talking about that one incident, that one murder in another city, Sanford, they never heard of 10 years ago. That's the type of people, woke people we got in DC. The middle class, the middle class, law abiding DC citizen. They still thinking about that murder in Sanford 10 years ago. That's on their mind now and shit. And you sit in the car like, look at these young brothers. I bet a white person would be, oh shit, and now you getting robbed. Thinking about what a white person would think when they saw them.
Now, with the latest increase in violent carjackings in the area, Xavier says it's only adding to her anxiety. The most recent police data shows between January and April of this year, there have been 207 carjackings in the Washington area, compared to 60 during the same period last year. The hotspots, D.C. and Prince George's County. There have been 70 so far this year in Prince George's, including this one, caught on camera at a Bladensburg gas station in March. The suspects shot at the driver, but missed. At DC Police Headquarters, they're dealing with a bigger problem when it comes to carjackings, says Acting Police Chief Robert Conti.
That's just what they like to do. They just do it. They enjoy committing crime.
Imagine if Tommy Sotomayor said that. What this DC Police Chief just said. Just imagine. Imagine if ABL said that. Imagine if Brandon Tatum said that. What this police chief just said. Oh my God. Could you imagine if they said that? And this is the guy who is the chief of this police, who has all the data. Imagine if a white police chief said this.
Headquarters, they're dealing with a bigger problem when it comes to carjackings, says Acting Police Chief Robert Conti.
That's just what they like to do. They just do it. They enjoy committing crime.
107 violent carjackings so far in the district. 44 people have been arrested, 34 of them young children.
34 of the 44 people arrested are juvenile. And you've seen what can happen when there's a nuclear family, mother and a father, active in the child's life, have high expectations for the child. Same DNA, same alleged low IQ DNA, same racist world, same black skin, same institutional racism, same systematic yada yada yada. Look at what these juveniles are doing, and look what that young boy we saw earlier was doing.
107 violent carjackings so far in the district. 44 people have been arrested, 34 of them young children.
We had, 12-year-old? A 13-year-old?
Yes. There are rules, so to speak. And, 13-year-olds should not be out here putting guns in somebody's face, taking a car. That's not cool, And most of these cars are recovered. And they're recovered, after a short joyride or something like that.
You're telling me that some of these kids are carjacking for joyride?
Just a joyride. Yes, absolutely.
Chief Conti says in some cases, they've also recovered videos and pictures posted to social media of kids and teens bragging and showing off their conquests. So, who are these children?
In many instances, it's the same kid.
Investigators say many are traveling down the same life road. Some of the young suspects have cases open with Child and Family Services, indicating they've been reported missing from home, are consistently absent from school, or they're victims of abuse. DC has a task force in place to arrest these child carjackers, but Acting Chief Conti says clearly that's not enough.
It is not solely a law enforcement issue. There are other entities that are involved, community, parents, etc. We have to make this is not the cool thing to do. This is not the popular thing to do. Whether it's churches talking to kids in community, violence interrupters talking to people in community or kids in community, this is an all hands on deck.
Glad he didn't say fathers. All these kids got a parent. They all got a mama. These kids need a father to put a foot in their behind. Give them some direction. And this is more than just not cool. They kill people when they do these things. These carjackings. And this is a very hard city to get a concealed carry in. It's very hard. I think they got 5,000 concealed carriers, and most of those are like people who live in Virginia and work in the city. In a city of almost 1 million people. It's very, very hard to get a concealed carry. They've liberalized it a little bit over the last 10 years, but 99 times out of 100, the person you carjack ain't packing in this city. Okay? 99 times out of 100.
DC has a task force in place to arrest these child carjackers, but Acting Chief Conti says clearly that's not enough.
It is not solely a law enforcement issue. There are other entities that are involved, community, parents, etc. You know, we have to make this is not the cool thing to do. This is not the popular thing to do. Whether it's churches talking to kids in community, violence interrupters talking to people in community or kids in community, this is an all hands on deck.
All hands on deck, especially after this recent case. Two DC girls, 13 and 15 years old, are charged as juveniles with felony murder. They're accused of killing an Uber Eats driver in a botched carjacking in Southeast last month. The two DC girls are back in court next week, trying to strike a plea deal with prosecutors.
It's hard to watch people in community who are, you know, innocent victims in this case be victimized by, you know, some of the young people that we're trying to help. Some of the young people that we're trying to help through police reform issues.
You saw right there, he talked about these are the young people we're trying to help through police reform issues. Why? They already got it. How are you going to make it even better for them? They get arrested, they get out the next day, and they do it again. They get arrested, they get out the next day, they do it again. They get arrested, they get out the next day, they do it again. We're reforming it to make it better for them? Dare I say we need to make it stricter and harder for them? Are you kidding me? These are the people we're out here police reform. This is what criminal reform is for? Prison reform? Are you kidding me? I thought it was for, even though I know, we know, but logically you would think it was for like people who are like caught up in a bad situation or something or got a raw deal. It's for these habitual repeat offenders? Are you kidding me?
It's hard to watch people in community who are, you know, innocent victims in this case be victimized by, you know, some of the young people that we're trying to help. Some of the young people that we're trying to help through police reform issues.
I'm still dealing with it, honestly speaking.
As for Xavier, she's sharing her story because she wants people to understand the impact, even if it doesn't end in death. Xavier says she's still living with the trauma from the time she was almost carjacked. She eventually moved away to Prince George's County and...
Sister got the hell up out of there, man. She moved out to the county, man. This the second day in a row, man. No, this the third day in a row, because the white lady in Kansas City who got killed by the stray bullet, the reporter, she was just about to move. She was looking for apartments in another city to get away from these Negroes. Then yesterday, you got the sister in the projects, can't let her kid go outside and play. She like, man, I need to get away from these Negroes. Now this sister, she moved away. Y'all talking about white flight. What about sister flight? Huh? What about Sister Scatter? Sister Skedaddle? What about Sister Skedaddle? Huh? What about that? Sister's like, man, I'm out. Damn. Whew. We out here about white people and shit and Capitol riots and shit. They talking about the Capitol riots last night on CNN. I'm like, what the, are you kidding me? People in D.C. didn't even know that was going on. If you know anything about D.C. where the Capitol is, people living in the neighborhoods didn't even know that was happening. When the Capitol, they didn't know what was happening. It's criminal what they do on the mainstream news media. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you take the $5 challenge. Support real news.
I'm still dealing with it, honestly speaking.
As for Xavier, she's sharing her story because she wants people to understand the impact, even if it doesn't end in death. Xavier says she's still living with the trauma from the time she was almost carjacked. She eventually moved away to Prince George's County and spent months in therapy.
I never thought that in front of my home, like the place that's supposed to be peace, safety, and refuge, I never thought that this would happen.